Have you ever felt a quiet ache for a life you never lived? It's a feeling that can be hard to describe, a gentle longing, a whisper from a parallel world where you made different choices. Sometimes it's just a fleeting thought, but other times it lingers, coloring the edges of your day. It can appear suddenly in the middle of an ordinary day when you least expect it. Maybe you're folding laundry or you catch your reflection in a window, and for a moment you wonder about the person you could have become. Maybe you're cooking dinner or waiting at a stoplight, and a gentle ghost appears, the person you might have become. It's as if another version of you is quietly watching, reminding you of the dreams you once held close. This isn't regret or envy, but a subtle grief for a path not taken. It's a soft sadness, not about what you have, but about what might have been, and it can be surprisingly powerful. We rarely talk about this kind of loss, yet it's deeply human. We're taught to focus on gratitude, to look forward, but sometimes the past calls to us in quiet ways. There are no rituals for mourning dreams that faded, no words for the opportunities that slipped away. We don't light candles or gather friends to remember the lives we didn't live. We carry these unlived lives in the attics of our minds, hidden away but never truly forgotten. They linger in our memories, in the stories we tell ourselves late at night. The you who moved away, who started over in a new city or left behind familiar faces for a fresh start. The you who took a risk, who dared to leap into the unknown, even if just for a moment. The you who said yes instead of no, who chose adventure over comfort or love over fear. Each represents a real possibility, now closed. These doors may never open again, but their presence shapes who we are. The first step is to simply acknowledge this feeling. Give it a name, a place at your table. Let it sit beside you, not as a burden, but as a quiet companion. Admitting we're haunted by our other selves is an act of self-compassion. It's a way of honoring every version of ourselves, even the ones we never became. This ghost isn't an enemy, but a messenger, asking us to look closely at the life we're living now, and to remember that every choice, even the ones we didn't make, is part of our story. Grief is usually reserved for death, for visible public loss. We think of funerals, black clothing, and the rituals that help us say goodbye to someone we loved. These moments are recognized by everyone around us, and our pain is met with understanding and support. Society gives us permission to mourn when someone is gone, but not when a dream fades or a version of ourselves disappears. There are no ceremonies for the quiet losses, the ones that happen inside us, often unnoticed by the world. Yet the pain of letting go of a cherished ambition or identity is real. The ache of realizing a path you once believed in is no longer possible can be just as profound as any other loss. This is the grief of the living, a private internal funeral for futures that will never arrive. We mourn the people we might have become, the lives we imagined, the stories that will never be written. No one sends flowers when you abandon a dream, and we're expected to move on, to be grateful for what we have. The world rarely acknowledges these invisible wounds, and so we often keep them hidden. This pressure forces our grief underground, where it quietly festers. We learn to mask our sorrow, to tuck it away behind closed doors and silent tears. We perform contentment while a part of us mourns what might have been. Outwardly we smile and carry on, but inside we're still saying goodbye to lost possibilities. To heal, we must expand our definition of grief to include these invisible losses. We need to honor the pain of letting go, even when it's not recognized by others. By giving ourselves permission to grieve, we dignify our own experience. We acknowledge that our pain is valid, even if it's unseen. The death of a dream is a significant event in the story of a life. It marks a turning point, a moment of reckoning and transformation. Feeling this pain isn't weakness, it's a sign of a heart that dared to hope. It means you cared deeply, and that is something to be honored, not hidden. That in itself deserves tenderness. When we allow ourselves to grieve these hidden losses, we open the door to healing, compassion, and a renewed sense of self. Imagine a quiet museum filled with portraits of the people you might have been. Each room holds a different version: the artist, the traveler, the person who said yes instead of no. These exhibits aren't about regret, but gentle curiosity. What if? You walk past the concert pianist you could have been, the life with your first love, the architect surrounded by blueprints. Each is a monument to a passion once alive. Visiting this museum isn't self-pity, it's emotional archaeology. By naming these lost selves, we see them not as failures, but as expressions of our hopes. They're not indictments of our current life, just stories from the book of possibilities. Acknowledging them lets us appreciate the richness of our inner world. Our identity is shaped as much by the paths we didn't take as by the one we're on. This is the quiet work of understanding ourselves. The grief for an unlived life is heavy because it's invisible. When we lose a loved one, our sorrow is shared and understood, but the grief for a lost dream is solitary, a stone in our pocket only we can feel. Culture tells us to look forward, never back, so we hide our sorrow and perform satisfaction. This act is exhausting and the weight grows heavier with self-blame. We think, I should have tried harder, or I gave up too easily, turning grief into self-punishment. We become both mourner and judge, fighting a lonely battle in our minds. The weight is silence, pretense, and self-recrimination. It can show up as a persistent dissatisfaction or a sudden pang of regret. To lift this weight, we must recognize it as loss, not failure. All loss deserves to be mourned, even if it's invisible. And this feeling is more universal than we think. You're not alone in this quiet sorrow. It's a universal part of being human. Studies show our biggest regrets are about romance, family, education, and career, the crossroads where one choice closes countless doors. For every yes, we say no to 1,000 other options. Life is a process of narrowing, pruning the branches of our possibility tree. The grief we feel is for those beautiful pruned branches. We make thousands of decisions daily, but the big ones linger as part of our personal narrative. This isn't a sign of a poorly lived life, but the mathematical certainty of choice. Millions quietly visit their own museums of could-have-beens. Knowing this connects our private sorrow to a collective experience. The pain isn't proof we chose wrong, it's the echo of choices we couldn't make. We're all navigating infinite options with finite time. The question, what if, is powerful and painful, echoing through our lives when we least expect it. It surfaces when we see someone who took a different path, or when a song reminds us of a younger self. Our instinct is to push this ache away, fearing it will overshadow our present. But ignoring it only makes it more insidious. The only way to diminish its power is to face it directly. Sit with the discomfort, feel the full spectrum of emotions. Instead of self-recrimination, approach what if with gentle curiosity. What did that dream represent? What need or value did it hold? This shift turns pain into self-knowledge. The ache of what if can become a source of wisdom, pointing us toward what's still missing and what can still be found. It's a message from our past self about the enduring needs of our present one. After walking through the museum of our unlived lives, what comes next? When we leave those silent halls filled with echoes of what might have been, we're left with a question. How do we move forward? The weight of regret can feel heavy, but it also signals that we cared deeply, that we dared to dream. The journey doesn't end with pain. It begins with integration. Instead of turning away from regret, we can choose to listen to it, to let it teach us about our true desires and values. The first step is to thank and release our past selves, perhaps by writing a letter to the person we thought we'd be. This act of reflection is not about erasing the past, but about honoring it. Honor their dreams. Thank them for their hope and gently let them go. Acknowledge the courage it took to imagine a different path and recognize the wisdom in letting go. This creates closure for our silent grief. It's a way to say goodbye to what was never meant to be and to make space for what is possible now. Next, re-examine the dream's essence. What core value or need did it represent? Was it freedom, love, creativity, or adventure? Sometimes the specifics of a dream fade, but its heart remains. The form may be gone, but the essence can be woven into our current life. We can find new expressions for old longings and let them enrich the present. The dreamer can find new ways to honor creativity, adventure, or connection. Even small acts like painting, exploring, or sharing laughter can be powerful. Finally, shift from comparison to appreciation. Notice the small joys and real connections in your actual life. Celebrate the moments that are uniquely yours and let gratitude grow. It's not about pretending everything is perfect, but about finding value in what is real. Life's beauty often hides in the ordinary, waiting for us to notice. The unlived life can inspire us to live more consciously. By embracing both our regrets and our reality, we become more present, more compassionate, and more alive. Peace comes from embracing the life we have and allowing its quiet gifts to fill us with meaning. After saying farewell to the ghosts of what might have been, our task is to build a meaningful present. The energy spent on regret can be repurposed into creating a richer life now. The unlived life, once mourned, becomes a blueprint for living more consciously. Identify the core values behind your lost dreams: adventure, creativity, connection, and find small ways to honor them today. Transform longing into action, even in modest ways. Practice mindful attention. Notice the morning light, the taste of coffee, the laughter of friends. The present becomes a destination, not a waiting room. Cultivate compassion for yourself. Be a good friend to who you are now. Forgive your past choices, celebrate small victories, and accept that a good enough life, lived with awareness, is a profound achievement. The quiet, beautiful story of the life you're living is enough. The journey through the grief of the unlived life is not simple, but it leads to quiet wisdom and acceptance. The ghosts of our other selves may never vanish, but they don't have to haunt us. Through acknowledgement and integration, they become gentle companions, reminders of our capacity to dream. Their presence can inspire us to live with more intention and creativity. Peace is found not in achieving every dream, but in fully inhabiting the life we have. It's the courage to feel sorrow without letting it define us, and the wisdom to weave old dreams into our present. Life is measured by the depth of our presence on the path we're on. The goal isn't to erase the what-ifs, but to make the what is compelling enough. This shared secret grief connects us all. What ghost do you carry, and what has it taught you?